the simple thing is we're just going to talk about diodes today, okay? And just going to give you a very brief introduction. So whenever I'm going to ask you any kind of question in your exam, you have to remember this simple thing that whatever I say might also be a part of the question. So it's important that you listen to it very carefully, okay? Because everything cannot be put it down there because it's so much of text. You know, diodes and all actually has got a lot of theory, okay? And I don't believe in reading so many things. There is no point doing it, okay? Because diode is something which you might have already studied. So this class might be a bit of revision for you, okay? So that's possible. So that's why like I've just kept it simple. I've kept one slide and then in this slide I can actually explain a lot of things to you, okay? So let's just try explaining, okay, and let's try understanding these things, okay? So let's say I have got I'll just keep the arrow. So we're talking about diodes. So basically diodes are nothing but essentially one-way current gates. So current can flow in one direction, but it cannot flow in the reverse direction. Okay. And that's having said that, we actually mean that we are talking about the majority charge carriers. Okay, mostly. But then there are diodes which also work in the reverse bias. And there the responsible charge carriers are nothing but the minority charge carriers. But then for that the kind of diode to work, we need to supply a very large amount of voltage. And some of the diodes, like for example, Zener diode works in the breakdown region, right? So terms like breakdown, terms like avalanche is already known to you. If you have just forgotten, I advise just revise them, okay? And whenever we are going to look into a diode, what can be an analog to a diode? It might be a bulb, okay? So if you look into any physical device, diode is a physical device, and if you look something which does not deal with electricity, we can talk about something like a bulb, okay? So a valve is also something which allows the flow of might be air, okay, or any kind of liquid only in one direction, but it cannot flow in the reverse direction, okay? So that is also a valve. So a diode or a valve works, or basically the working principle more or less remains the same. Okay. So I think diode is symbolized by something which you already know. Okay, it's something which you have come across again and again. But then it's important that you don't really stick to this one diagram, because you know this is actually something which is fixed only for a certain kind of diode, a PN junction diode, right? I have got the diagrams later for different kinds of diode, but this is the diagram which you already know. Okay, so this is the something which you already know about diode, and I think this diagram we can actually just keep it in mind that this is only for a simple PN junction diode. Okay, so whenever we are going to talk about the electrical property, be it a diode, be it a transistor, plotting a graph between current and voltage is very important. And based on that, we can actually assess a lot of things about the circuit, okay, or about the system. So let's say, for example, I'm increasing the voltage, and with voltage, how much does the current increase? Okay, depending on that, you can actually predict what kind of device you are having. So let's say a simple circuit which has got a simple resistance connected to it, okay, will basically have a circuit something like this. So you know you have basically calling it as the IV characteristics. So whenever you are plotting a graph between current and voltage, you basically call them as IV characteristics. Okay, I stands for current and V stands for voltage. Okay? And I think all of us know that whatever is the independent variable is plotted along the x-axis, and whatever is the dependent variable is plotted along the y-axis. So that means as I keep on increasing the voltage, the current will keep on increasing, and this happens in a linear way. So that means if I am going to find out the slope of this, we are going to get what is the resistance R, right? So you know when you are being asked for Viva and all, when you will be doing your projects, okay, when you are being asked questions on Viva, you might be getting these kind of questions. Okay, so these concepts are very important. So what happens is if I find out the slope, I get the resistance. Okay, and simple idea is V is equal to IR is value. So you know this is something which is ohmic in nature. So Ohm's law is valid here. If Ohm's law is valid, it is ohmic in nature. Okay, so this is a plain resistor, and you've got an IV characteristic. But then if you take something like a diode, you know, diode, if it think about the simplest of example. It is basically nothing but a PN junction diode. So you have a p-type material, you have got an n-type material, and then you sandwich them together. Okay, and if you remember that if we actually take a group 5 element and mix it with group 4, let's say silicon, okay, or we get a n-type semiconductor. If we take group 3 and mix it with group 4, we get it a p-type. Okay, and what happens is if we take p-type and n-type semiconductor and combine them, sandwich them, okay, we basically just have something which we call as diode. Okay, so these are all semiconductors, so these are not metallic in nature, semiconductors, temperature dependent, so Ohm's law is not valid. So the IV curve that usually get in these kind of cases will look something like this. Okay, and this is a practical diode, this is a practical diode, so that means at some point the current starts increasing. Okay, there is already some current, a very minor current at a very low voltage. The reason is the minority charge carrier, but as you keep on increasing the voltage, okay, as you keep on increasing the voltage, you see that the current will keep on increasing. Okay, so this is not a straight line, this is a curved line, so it does not follow Ohm's law. So these kind of materials are non-ohmic in nature. So this is something which you already know. And then finally we have got something which is called as idealized diode. So if you take something as a silicon or something, okay, what happens is at a voltage of 0.6 or 0.7 volt, you will see that at that particular voltage the current will actually shoot up. Okay, so if you consider an ideal diode, the function is that if I apply a certain voltage, then only current starts flowing. Below that there should be no current. So if you consider an ideal case at 0.6 volt, the current will actually start flowing. Okay, but then in the real case, it does not happen. Okay, there are reasons for it. Okay, minority charge carriers, majority charge carriers, how much voltage you are applying, and so on. Okay, so this is a diode reality, and this is something which is idealized in nature. Okay, and whenever you are talking about a large current flow with a standard voltage that you are applying, mind you, I'm not talking about a breakdown voltage, I'm just talking about a normal voltage supply. Okay, and this is nothing but the negative end, and this is connected to the positive. So this is the positive part of the diode, this is the representation, and this is the negative part of the diode. Okay, and this negative part is connected to the positive, and this positive part is connected to the negative. So if that happens, means it's basically a reverse bias connection. And if it's a reverse bias connection, no current flows. Okay, so this is something which you already studied in your semiconductors. On the other hand, if you're connecting the positive to the positive, negative to the negative, you have the current flowing. Okay, so the circuit basically works. Okay, so this is basically for a diode. When you talk about a transistor, you have got a PNP transistor and NPN transistor, which are going to learn in the next unit. Okay, there also the working principle is same. You have to do the biasing for the input circuit and the output circuit. Okay, and based on this, the system will usually work. Okay, so this is something which you already know. And if we just go into a more detailed part of this is something which I have already told, what a p-type and n-type semiconductors. So I'd suggest all of you to just look into semiconductors, look into these energy band diagrams, which you will need more or less in most of the topics that you study. Okay, be it in quantum mechanics. I'm also going to teach these things in characterization technique. Okay, the energy band diagrams. We're going to talk about these things in nuclear physics in your third semester. Okay, so these energy band diagrams are very important. So whenever you're talking about a p-type and an n-type semiconductor, these energy band diagrams still has got some kind of role. Okay, so when we are talking about the valence band and the conduction band, the chances are that if they overlap each other, it will be more or less metallic in nature. Okay, if they're very close to each other, okay, they are basically nothing but semiconductors, because you can apply some kind of energy and the electron can jump from the valence band to the conduction band. On the other hand, if they are very far, we basically call them as insulators. So these are basic definitions, very important. A common question that I might ask you during your exam is what are diodes? Okay, very simple. And you already know the answer because I've already given it in the previous slide, right? So these are nothing but the devices in which the current is allowed to flow only in one direction. Okay, and they are mostly made up of semiconductor devices. And whenever you check any kind of book, you'll find out that most of these examples are taken up, and then silicon is considered as the material. Okay, and then they can be connected in forward bias or reverse bias. So forward bias, you have got more current. Reverse bias, you've got very little current because of the minority charge carriers. Okay. So, whenever you have this, you have a diode and you are not doing any kind of biasing. Okay? Biasing, by biasing, I think all of us know that we're talking about a application of voltage. So if you don't apply any kind of voltage, we are not biasing it. Okay, we don't apply any kind of bias. We are just having the diodes being there. Okay, and then this is usually the symbol. Okay, we've already seen in the previous slide. This is the standard symbol of a normal PN junction. But with the advancement of technology, it was seen that we need to control the diodes or control the current in a better way. And for that, the devices like varactor, Zener diode, photodiode, light emitting diode, everything has been found out. Okay? And then all of them work at a different operating voltage. Okay? And then their symbols are also different. So one more thing that you need to revise or you need to remember, okay, is that whenever we are talking about a diode, we have something which we call as the depletion layer. So this basical region is nothing but the depletion region. Okay, so you have to just revise this, but let me just revise a small part of it. Like if you connect it in the forward bias, what happens is these depletion region are having electrons and hole combined. Okay, so they are basically forming a kind of bond because of which they are immovable. Okay, so if they are immovable, charges cannot flow easily from this end to this end or this end to this end, and because of which this depletion region actually gives a kind of resistance to the flow of current. So if this depletion region is large, which happens in a reverse bias condition, the current flow will be very less. Okay, so this will be offer a greater resistance. But on the other hand, if this depletion region is small, okay, you basically have more current which might actually flow. Okay, so if that happens, we can actually talk about um, uh, a system which actually can be controlled. Okay, so if I connect it forward bias, you have more applied negative bias here. Okay, and you have got the positive holes moving here, and they can easily move from this end to this end because you have got a high voltage. Okay, so the potential difference is more, so it will easily cross. Okay, so the chances of bonds breaking will be more. As a result, the depletion region in a forward bias condition would be very small. Okay, so these images are not up to the scale. Okay, it's not that it looks that large. Okay, these are all in the nanoscale region. And on the other hand, if it's reverse bias, you know that the majority charge carriers are here, p-type, but there are also minority charge carriers, and the minority charge carriers are electrons. So if this is positive and it's electrons here, the minority charge carriers, since they are less in number and the majority charge carrier will form the main part of the depletion region, the chances of them crossing and going to the other end and for completing the circuit will be less. So that means whenever you have a reverse bias, the current that you get is in the micrometer range. Okay, but micro ampere range, not meter, micro ampere range. Okay, but then when you are talking about a forward bias current, it is in the milliampere range. And nowadays for a device to work, for example, let's say even a light emitting diode, the value of having a milliampere current can also make the device work. Okay, it will function properly. So milliampere in that nature is actually a large current. Okay, so depends on what kind of device we are using, and it can easily set the signal from one end to the other. But then in reverse bias, it's microampere. Okay, but nowadays technology has improved so much that even in reverse bias we can have devices where you can actually have a nanoampere current. Okay, not milliampere, of course, because that actually ruins the purpose of having a reverse bias. But then you can also have a nanoampere current. Okay, microampere, nanoampere is also possible. Okay, and then we also have got the forward bias connection. Okay, so you have to remember the range, and that is very important. Okay, and this kind of diagrams probably you are going to come again and again, and this is something which you need to revise a lot. Okay, it's very important. So you see, uh, whenever we are talking about an ideal diode, we have got certain voltage at which the current shoots up, and below that there is no current. Okay, below that there is no current, below that voltage, as soon as it reaches a certain voltage, it shoots up. So this is a diagram for an ideal diode. So this is an ideal diode. So you have to remember this, okay? This is an ideal diode. But on the other hand, if you go into the image or understanding of a practical diode will actually have a IV characteristic, which is something like this. Okay? So here also I and V are not proportional. Okay, at particular V I should sub. So this is also not following Ohm's law. Don't get confused. Proportional means you'll basically have a line here which will make an angle of 45 degree with the x-axis, 45 degree with the y-axis. Okay, that is the exact meaning of being proportional here. Okay, but then here it doesn't happen. So it is non-ohmic in nature. This is also non-ohmic in nature. Okay. Eventually, we are also going to talk about ohmic and Schottky diodes, okay? Or sorry, ohmic and Schottky defects, okay, or barriers, okay? Basically, we call it as contacts. So we have got an ohmic contact and we have got a Schottky contact or non-ohmic contact. Okay? So non-ohmic means these examples that we are talking about. So there are different parts here that you need to know, okay, and then we're going to look into it when we talk about different diodes. But right now I'd just like to tell you that when we're talking about this part, we are talking always about the reverse bias. We're talking about this the first quadrant, we are talking about the forward bias. Okay? So in forward bias, what happens is we are applying a voltage, the current does not increase, does not increase, does not increase, because at that particular voltage, the electrons or the holes does not have sufficient energy to cross the barrier and go on the other end and form the circuit, because of which you are not going to get any kind of current. But then at certain point, it slowly starts to increase, okay? And there is a certain voltage at which it actually exceeds, okay? It increases very fast. The point at which it starts increasing very fast is basically called a knee voltage. So that's the knee voltage, okay? So, if you just draw a basic, sorry, you basically just draw a simple tangent here, okay? At that point, the point at which it meets here, it basically gives you the knee voltage. That is how you actually find it out when you plot a graph, okay? So if you're doing any kind of experiment dealing with diode, you basically plot it, you draw a tangent, and then you get that point, and then you get that knee voltage. So that's very important. So for a typical silicon, you basically have the knee voltage as 0.6 volt. Okay, and then if you go into the reverse bias condition, okay, you basically have it as in terms of nanoamperes. Okay, but then as I told you, you can get even a larger current like microampere. Nano means 10 to the power minus 9, micro means 10 to the power minus 6. So it's possible to get 10 to the power minus 6 amperes also, but then it depends on what kind of instrument we are using. Okay, and see here it's around in terms of milliamperes. So it is in milliampere, this is in nanoampere. So there is a huge difference in the current that you're getting. Reverse bias, forward bias. So please remember these terms, okay? Here we also have something which we call as the Zener breakdown and the avalanche breakdown. So Zener breakdown and avalanche breakdown, both of them actually happens in the reverse bias condition, okay? So Zener breakdown happens at a lower voltage, but avalanche breakdown will happen at a higher voltage. So I hope all of us know what is avalanche. Avalanche is actually very high flow of voltage, okay? So that's simple. And then if you just look into the application, and we can just revise this again, okay? When we look into the application, we basically have something which we call as the half wave rectifier and the full wave rectifier. Okay? So that's important. So if we just look into half wave rectifier, what happens is it only converts the half of this full wave. Okay, so we basically have a conversion from AC to DC. That is something which we already know. Okay, so if you convert something from AC to DC, we use a half wave rectifier or a full wave rectifier, and this is the simplest circuit that you already know. Okay, it conducts only for one half of the cycle. For this half it does not conduct, so we don't have anything here. Okay, so this is something which you again need to revise. This might not be a direct question for your exam because this is something which is expected to know, but since we are talking about diode, these applications are very important, and this is one of the applications that you have already studied. Okay, so that's very important. Okay, I'll give you just around 2 minutes. Okay, and then you can just look into this diagram. Okay, and think about the different diagrams that we have already come across. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. Wait, I'll just keep the diagram here. Just you can just have a look at it. Whenever we are talking about, whenever I am talking about diodes, we're talking about diodes, we usually feel that, okay, they're initially, we're talking mostly about junction diodes, okay, for the basic understanding. And then it was seen that there are other diodes which works in a different way, okay. And then this list is even not exhaustive, okay. There are even more lists there, okay. So nowadays even class 11 12 syllabus, as you can see, I've taken it from a content writers who are actually dealing with class 11 12 syllabus. So 11 12 syllabus does have this idea, okay, but I think sometimes we miss out these things, depends on which school you have been taught. Sometimes they don't concentrate on the different types of diodes actually which are present, okay, just do a superficial study of that. But now it's very important that we know these things, very important, okay. So you've got junction diode, and you know this is the symbol. Zener diode, please remember the symbol. Sometimes if you're lucky, the entrance exam will also ask you a question where they ask you only about the symbol, okay. So if you know the symbol, probably you can answer it. So you've got something like a Zener diode, and which is basically nothing but in the form of Z. This is something which you can easily remember. This is a tunnel diode, okay, and this is actually looking something like this, and there is a circle here, okay. So tunnel diode is something like tunneling. So if you know about we know about quantum mechanics, and we know the tunneling effect, okay. In tunnel diode there is tunneling effect, okay, and that's why it is called a tunnel diode, okay. And then there is a Schottky diode. There is something which we call as the Schottky diode, and in Schottky diode is actually nothing but like a Zener diode, but then it is again bent further, okay. So it is just like an S here. It's just like an S here, and that's the symbol, okay. And then we got something which we call as the Varactor diode. So Varactor diode, actually, you see, it can be represented in this way or in this way, okay. And then Varactor diode, you see there are two lines here, and in between there is nothing. So it is basically looking like a capacitor. And this Varactor diode basically works on a capacitive effect. Okay, it has got a capacitive effect depending on the voltage that you apply. Okay, and based on this, we call it as a Varactor diode. We are going to go look into it because that is also there in the syllabus. It's important also. We're going to look into Varactor diode. Okay, and then we have got something which is called DAC. Okay, so DAC is basically nothing but diode for AC. So you basically got a DC signal, you got an AC signal, okay, and diode for AC is basically called a DAC, and this is a symbol. This is a bit complicated, but then this is something which you don't come across very regularly, okay. But if you're pursuing a course on a regular electronics course, definitely you might see this, okay. And then we have got the triac. So this is a triode. Tri means triode, okay. Triode for AC, okay. So this is important. And then we have got SCR, which is nothing but talking about the silicon diodes, okay, the silicon resistor diodes, okay. So this is a symbol for that, okay. And this is something which is a revolution in today's world. LED, light emitting diode, okay. So whenever you have a diode and you are applying some kind of voltage and it emits light, you know that you are actually applying a very little power to it and you are getting a very good output, okay. So light emitting diode is one of the major reasons that somehow we are able to control the use of power or electricity. In 90s or even in 2000, okay, we basically had a lot of electricity consumption, but nowadays the consumption has reduced drastically because of the use of these light emitting diodes. So this is basically kind of revolution, okay. And there are a lot of stories behind this, okay. And as we go along, I might tell you some of them, okay. There has been Nobel Prizes awarded because of these invention of white light, okay, white LED, okay. So that's also there. So the Nobel Prize was actually given for emission of blue lights, okay, blue lights. So light emitting diode, it will emit light. So blue light, if it emits, it's very difficult to actually adjust that band gap. So that was done, okay, by one of the scientists, and then because of that he also got the Nobel Prize. So light emitting diode is a revolution, okay, altogether. And then we have got something which is called a photodiode. So in light emitting diode, what happens is you are having a power supply and then the light gets emitted, and that is why the arrow is outside. In a photodiode, what happens is light falls on it and it starts operating. So as soon as light falls on it, okay, there is the breakage of electron hole pairs, and because of which the charges starts flowing, and then there is a current in the circuit. So that is basically called a photodiode, okay. So if you have something like a siren or an alarm system, a burglar alarm, let's say, okay, and if someone puts a torch, okay, switch was on a torch, light falls on that particular system, a current flows, and the alarm signal goes off, okay. So you basically have got a burglar system kind of thing, which also uses a photodiode. Okay. In fact, something like a smoke detector also uses a diode. Okay. So diode has got a lot of applications. We have to just look into this, that what exactly they are used in circuit. But as I told you, these are not like the exhaustive list. There are a number of diodes, and this is how they exactly look. So if you open up a circuit, depending on what kind of circuit you're looking into, you can actually look into these electronic components. So you see the different shapes and sizes, okay? And some of the most important ones might be the light emitting diode, which you might have seen. IR LED you might have seen, because you have your remote control, and in front of your remote control there is something like this. Okay, you have basically got a transparent kind of figure, okay, placed, and that is actually nothing but again a diode, and that is an IR diode. It emits an IR signal, not a light signal. Okay, so that is there. Okay, these are something which are the varactor diode. They're actually having some kind of size, because they actually need to work on capacitive effect. Zener diode you might also see, okay, if you open any kind of electronic circuit. Okay, and then apart from that, we have got these vacuum diodes. Okay, these are used. Okay, and then we have got the Pelter diode, if you remember Pelter effect. Okay, and then we have got something like the avalanche diode, which works at a very high reverse bias voltage. Okay, that's important. Okay, and then these are nothing but electron generators. These are actually called gun diodes. They are actually there. And then there are more. Okay, then photodiode. This is something which is a photodiode. This is also something which is very common. You might have seen it. Okay, so based on this, we actually can see different kinds of diodes. Okay, we have also got the Schottky diode. Okay? And every diode has got its own application. Okay, that's very important.